Hi everybody, welcome to Homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. So yesterday, I was over at Costco in Wichita doing some shopping, just enjoying the evening, and I got a notification on my phone, a news article. And this is something that I was aware of. I think it was on New Year's Day actually, but I didn't know if it was a big deal or not, so I just kind of it didn't seem so much like it was, but it caught my attention, and I was like, well, I might have to look into that further. But here we are on the 7th, so about like a week's gone by, and it wasn't until yesterday that something caught my eye when I was reading that article. And as you know, I've been wondering, just like I was wondering last year, what's the first big thing that's going to happen for this year, right? So if we go back to 2022, okay, when things started out, I don't know. I guess I wasn't being very patient. I was just like, oh, things seem pretty calm this year, because the year before, in 2021, on January 6th, that's when you had the United States Capitol riot, whatever you want to call it, that happened. So it was just like first thing. But in 2022, some more time had gone by, nothing really big. But it wasn't long before, on the 15th of January, right here at the top, uh, humanity saw the largest atmospheric explosion of all time, recorded by modern instruments. Not to say that there haven't been larger ones in the past, but according to our observations with modern instruments, the largest, even bigger than any nuclear bomb, including the Tsar Bomba, which was the largest nuclear weapon ever tested by Russia. So, um, last year really started in a very dramatic way. It was a very dramatic beginning to the year. So, I've been waiting for to see, is something going to happen this year? And it appears yes, something is happening. So, it actually got underway on, oops, I don't know why I put November 26th of December. So the day after Christmas, you have this storm and rain and bomb cyclone event that's been going on in California. This is when it started on the 26th of December. Interesting because it's the day after Christmas. This Christmas, a lot of people have reported felt like it was a different Christmas. Um, we had the Christmas devotional, which the brethren seemed very happy, very excited. It felt like a different Christmas devotional. Interesting things were said. On Christmas itself, we had three giant asteroids that passed Earth. And then also, we had a what's called a parade of planets. Um, Basically, it's a time when you can see all the planets in the sky. And it just so happened that Hanukkah, this Christmas, was the last day of lighting, or it was the day of lighting the eighth candle at dusk. And that's when you could first see this octet of planets, which, resembles kind of a heavenly menorah, essentially. Eight lights in the heavens. So that happens, and the very next day, this thing with California takes off. And I'm not even sure if we're in the middle of it yet, but we're into it. So what happened? What happened? Okay, first I'm going to read the article, or part of the article, that was recommended to me yesterday when I was at Costco, from Vice. U.S. government predicted a devastating California ARkStorm in 2010. Is it happening now? So maybe this caught your attention as I was reading it, but this is what caught my attention. An ARkStorm. That's a very peculiar name, isn't it? Because primarily because of this part. Ark. You remember what Sister Nelson said in what's it called, in Canada just a couple months ago? Let's see, under the quotes timeline. Let's find what she said. Okay, and she put this up on the screen. She was highlighting this. She says, two friends of ours who were leaders of the MTC but are now serving as senior missionaries in Malta wrote us and said, quote, "This conference was the very best. President Nelson, we feel you've asked us to get on the Ark." Pretty explicit hint, okay, as to where we're at. And then and now we're looking at California potentially having an ARkStorm right now. So we're gonna go into what that is. Don't worry. A series of rainstorms caused by atmospheric rivers, much like what is happening now, could cause mega flooding in California and put huge parts of the state underwater, scientists warn. Over a decade ago, I'm going to zoom in even more. Over a decade ago, the U.S. Geological Survey and state agencies developed the idea of the ARkStorm, an extreme storm and flood scenario for California based on previous rain events. A USGS video, disconcertingly set to hard rock music, created in 2010 and recently uploaded to YouTube, paints a biblical picture of what the devastating storm could potentially look like. And by the way, I've got the video here. I'll put the link for it separately in the description below if you want to go check that out. Quote, "A fury rivaling that of hurricanes, beginning a process of destruction that will last for weeks," end quote. As heavy storms caused by atmospheric rivers hit California this week, many regions are under flood warning. Many are worried about the possibility of such a catastrophic event occurring now. So what is it, and is it really something you need to worry about? Again, I got this yesterday, and that's when it's dated, January 6th. Okay, so this is pretty recent. There's a couple more articles that have come out today. But, okay, an ARkStorm is a hypothetical scenario for California caused by a series of atmospheric rivers that drown much of the state with recurring rainstorms. This is reminiscent of what happened last year. I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but in Pakistan, okay, I did a video about this. You see Pakistan floods right here under the event column E. 1/3 of the country was underwater. It started on June 14th. We did a size comparison of Pakistan to Texas. Pakistan is a bit larger than Texas, according with in land area. Could you imagine a third or more of Texas being underwater, being flooded? That's what happened to Pakistan last year, and it went from June 14th until October. So now we're looking at California and this what could be this predicted ARkStorm. Okay. Quote, "The storm is estimated to produce precipitation that in many places exceeds levels only experienced on average once every 500 to 1,000 years." End quote. You know, how many more things are we going to have? How many more events like this are we going to have that happen on average, 1,000 years in between? Because right now, well, I don't know about right now. Last I checked, this drought that's going on in the West, they're calling it a mega drought. And the last time that happened, if I remember correctly, was 1,200 years ago. So you mean to say that we're having this mega drought, the likes of which we haven't seen for 1,200 years, and now potentially this ARkStorm that only occurs about once every 500 to 1,000 years. I mean, the timing is kind of interesting. ARkStorm stands for Atmospheric River 1,000 Years Storm. So therefore, AR is atmospheric river. K is for 1,000 Roman numerals K, and then storm. ARkStorm, or the type of storm that would occur roughly every 1,000 years. Climatologists have warned that climate change is making extreme weather more common, and California has been increasingly plagued by years' worth of drought, followed by intense rains that cause landslides in fire-tarnished landscapes, flooding parched soil, etc. So, the interesting thing about that, California top 20 wildfires. I've gone over this many times on the channel. It's been a little while since the last time we looked at it, I think. Okay, so we just read that in these in these like burnt down areas, it basically makes things worse, right? So the top 20 largest California wildfires. This is from fire.ca.gov. This is an official government publication. Let's see how many of these wildfires have happened in the 20s. Okay, so we're now in 2023. We've had we're now entering the fourth year of the 20s, but really we're at the beginning. So there's only been 3 years, 2020, 2021, and 2022. Okay, well, the largest happened in August 2022, or sorry, 2020. So that's our first one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Almost half of this list, the top 20 largest California wildfires, almost half this list has happened within the last 3 years. We have 2 that are from the 20th century. We got this one from 1932, this one from 1977. All the rest of them are from this century, and almost half of them are just from this decade. And then we have another one here, July 2018. So that would have been, if you want to include 2018, because that's when President Nelson became prophet. So that would be 10, and then 11. 11. Okay. So more than half this list is from President Nelson's time as president of the church. That's rather interesting. Okay, so going back to this. Okay. Atmospheric rivers are weather patterns that are common on the West Coast that cause huge deluges of rain. The difference in an arc storm is that in a worst case scenario, Pacific jet streams essentially cause a series of back-to-back-to-back storms in which the rain rarely lets up. Quote, they'll be characterized by a week-long sequences of recurrent strong to extreme ARs during the cool season and coinciding with a persistently strong Pacific jet stream, researchers explained. Okay, so that's all that I have from this one. I just got to double check. Here's an article from yesterday as well. California is not done. 3 more atmospheric rivers are on the way. So, it does seem like these are back to back to back to back. Okay, here's a guy standing in a flooded street, homes and hotel on the other side of the street. Okay, at least three other storm systems, one of which appears to be especially significant, are on the way in the next 7 days. The most significant is anticipated between Sunday night, that's tomorrow, or, well, I'm recording this on Saturday, so I guess tonight for you guys, and Monday night, which will probably bring, quote, widespread flooding, damaging winds, and dangerous beach and marine conditions, according to the National Weather Service. Thereafter, signs point to a pattern that will keep the moisture fire hose aimed at the state through at least mid to late January. Uh, we're only we're only on the 7th. So right now, we are less than a quarter of the way through the month. Okay. So last Sunday was the first. So we're now at the time of this recording, we're at 1 week, and then we have 3 more weeks, and then 3 more days after that. Okay. So at least mid to late January. So that means um, until at least probably next Saturday or Sunday, and then potentially for the rest of the month. Quote, a series of potent weather systems will impact our area this weekend into next week, wrote the National Weather Service serving the Bay Area in a forecast discussion Friday. Okay, I don't know if I had anything else. Here's a little graphic here showing, I'm assuming that these are the atmospheric rivers right here. Okay. All right, there's some more. What's next for California? Another conga line of atmospheric rivers is on the way to California. The first may be modest, but the second, anticipated to arrive early in the work week, appears to be more formidable. Event number 1, Saturday into Sunday. The first event is actually a pair of low-end atmospheric rivers. They're being tugged into California as they wrap northward into a duo of dying low-pressure systems several hundred miles west of the Oregon-Washington border. The initial atmospheric river will begin brushing against the coast of extreme northern California on Friday night before dropping south overnight, aiming at the Bay Area as it wanes on Saturday. If you're not from the United States and you don't know what the Bay Area is, that's referring to California, or it's San Francisco. Okay, you see how there's this big bay right here, so it's a highly populated area. You have San Francisco, San Jose. Across over here, you got Oakland. So this is the Bay Area. Okay. Okay, so that's the first event. Event number 2, Monday into Tuesday. What is this? Oh, this is like inches of rain, it looks like. Yeah. A more significant atmospheric river, likely a 4 out of 5 on the scale from the Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes, which rates this phenomenon, will come in Sunday evening and continue into Tuesday. All right. Photos. We'll look at some other photos later in a different article. And then event number 3, late next week. A third atmospheric river will affect parts of the West Coast late next week. While details are hazy, it appears significant participation is again likely. So this is not good. This is not good. Whether it actually becomes this ARkStorm type thing, I don't know. The fact of the matter, though, is that they're thinking that that there's a possibility, and regardless of whether it does or doesn't, it's already causing a lot of damage. I'm about to show you more. So let's look a little bit more at the ARkStorm concept. This is Wikipedia. An ARkStorm is a megastorm scenario proposed based on repeated historical occurrences of atmospheric rivers and other major rain events, first developed and published by the Multi-Hazards Demonstration Project, MHDP, of the United States Geological Survey in 2010 and updated as ARkStorm 2.0 in 2022. Okay, the ARkStorm 1.0 scenario describes an extreme storm that devastates much of California, causing up to 725 billion in losses. That's almost a trillion, mostly due to flooding and affecting a quarter of California's homes. That's a lot. You know why? Because, okay, list of U.S. states by population. California is a very large state. Okay, estimated July 1st, 2022, California has a population of 39 million. Okay, 39 million divided by 4. So that's almost 10 million. Well, duh, of course, because it's almost 40. So, of course, it's almost 10 million. So, almost 10 million people. California is a very big state. What's the. Okay. Population of Canada. Canada's population, this is a 2021 estimate, is only 38.9. So California, if you didn't know, is bigger than Canada. Okay, and of course it's going to be bigger than many other countries, but it's a very, 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 very sizable state. Okay. Okay. So. The scenario projects impacts of a storm that would be significantly less intense, 25 days of rain, than the California storms that occurred between December 1861 and January 1862, which was 43 days. Now, 43 days, maybe this is where they got the idea, maybe it's not. It seems like what they were trying to do is they wanted to have a name that invoked and alluded to the flood, right? Noah's flood. So this one back in the 1860s, 43 days. I mean, 40, 40 days and 40 nights, right? So this one probably won't, according to what I'm reading. But okay, so here's okay. Look at this. Look at this. These are like what they would expect to happen. The ARkStorm 1.0 scenario would have the following effects. The Central Valley would experience flooding 300 miles long and at least 20 miles wide. And I think that's what's being depicted right here. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, this is what California looks like. Okay, see how there's no water right here? And this is what they're saying it could look like with this kind of event. That is terrifying. Look at Sacramento. Sacramento is the capital of California. You would be underwater. And San Francisco is not looking too good. Neither is San Jose. Los Angeles looks okay down there. Bakersfield. Okay. So there's that. Serious flooding also would occur in Orange County, Los Angeles County, San Diego, and the San Francisco Bay Area and other coastal communities. Wind speeds at some places would reach 125 miles per hour, or that's 200 kilometers per hour for my international viewers. Hundreds of landslides would damage roads, highways, and homes. Property damage would exceed 300 billion, most from flooding. Demand surge could increase property losses by 20%. Agricultural losses and other costs to repair lifelines, drain flooded islands, and repair damage from landslides could bring the total direct property loss to nearly 400 billion. Power, water, sewer, and other lifelines would experience damage that could take weeks or months to restore. Up to 1.5 million residents in the inland region and delta counties would need to evacuate due to flooding. That's a lot. That's a big evacuation. Business interruption costs could reach 325 billion in addition to the 40 billion required for property repair costs, meaning that the ARkStorm scenario is projected to cost 750 billion, like we saw earlier. Um, okay, I'm not going to read the rest of this. There's ARkStorm 2.0, like a revised, thing of it. So, all right, so we're hoping that that doesn't happen with what's going on right now. But it looks like what's going on right now could be the ARkStorm scenario. Even if it was close to the ARkStorm scenario, it's not good. Okay, Fox 11 Los Angeles, California ARkStorm. Climate change could result in potential megaflood. Could result in potential megaflood, scientists say. Now, this is from August of last year. So this was, I guess, on their radar. They were thinking about it, but it says Los Angeles. It's only a matter of time until California gets hit by an ARkStorm, which scientists say reflects the potential for, quote unquote, an event of biblical proportions. Interesting that they were talking about this just a few months ago, essentially. Well, like about half a year ago. Um, Interesting timing. Okay, a new study released by UCLA reveals the ARkStorm will generate 200% to 400% more runoff in the Sierra Nevada mountains due to more rain, not snow. The ARkStorm flood is known as, quote unquote, the other big one, after the nickname of an expected major earthquake on the San Andreas Fault, according to researchers with UCLA. But unlike an earthquake, the ARkStorm would lead to catastrophe across a much larger area. Uh, I had no idea about this. I've always known about the big one in reference to the San Andreas Fault. I had no idea until yesterday about the existence of ARkStorms. I had no idea, but here we are. The last time California experienced such a flood was in 1862. During that time, scientists said floodwaters reached up to 300 miles long and as wide as 60 miles across in California's Central Valley. Back then, there was no flood management infrastructure in place. California's population was about 500,000 compared to nearly 40 million today, scientists say. If something similar were to happen again, parts of cities such as Sacramento, Stockton, Fresno, and Los Angeles would be underwater even with today's extensive collection of reservoirs, levees, and bypasses, researchers said. Now, see, this is what first got on my radar is that there was a levee that there were a few levees that they were worried were going to burst, and it appears that one of them did. Uh, so that's what they were saying back in August. Okay, this one is from October. How an ARkStorm could wreak havoc on Los Angeles. It's just weird. I mean, how often are they talking about ARkStorms and why are they talking about it over the last few months? And now here we are. It looks like it's happening. I don't know. But this is what lamag.com says. No one knows exactly when it'll happen. Well, as it turns out, just 3 to 4 months later. It could happen 5 months or 5 decades. No one can say exactly how bad it will be, although most predictions put it somewhere between a Roland Emmerich disaster movie and a diluvial apocalypse. They always use these words. Like, it's amazing how much the words biblical, apocalypse, apocalyptic, Armageddon, things like that are used in news articles nowadays. It's like becoming more frequent. At this point, only one thing is for sure. It's going to get wet, very, very wet. It's called the ARkStorm scenario, a catastrophic weather event that, according to a terrifying just released report compiled by scientists at UCLA, could dwarf California's droughts, fires, and even earthquakes in overall destruction. Oh, I guess that's why, because of the UCLA report that came out. So they're just doing their story on it. But do you understand like the implications of that? It could dwarf droughts. They're going through a mega drought right now. Fires. We just looked at the top 20 fires of all time, and even earthquakes. I don't mean to be an alarmist, and I don't like painting a bleak future, but this looks really bad. This looks really bad, and hopefully it's not. Hopefully it won't become the worst case scenario, but there's the potential. Okay, quote, this would be the worst. Okay, this would be worse than anything Southern California has experienced since it became a densely populated urban area, notes the lead author of the UCLA report, Daniel Swain, who predicts that the ARkStorm could be 4 times as catastrophic as the big one, the giant, long anticipated earthquake that will someday likely erupt along the San Andreas Fault. Quote, there's really no historical analogy for what we're talking about here. End quote. Uh, that is just not. Um, this would. Here's another quote. Did I just read that? This would be the This would be worse than anything California has ever or has experienced. Those are some strong words. Those are some strong words. You guys in California, how about let's be safe? Okay, really keep your eye on this. If they tell you to evacuate, you should probably really take that into consideration. Um, I'm sorry that this is happening to you. I hope that all of you listening to this are not affected by it, but let's go ahead and let's take this seriously, shall we? Okay. CBS News experts weigh in on the risk of ARkStorm amid heavy rainfall, in which there's a guy here, Jeffrey Mount, senior fellow at the PPIC Water Policy Center, pointing at an image. Okay, he basically kind of downplays this. He's like, well, it was 1861 and 1862. That is the true storm of record that we have here in California when we were keeping at least reasonable records. It's nothing like that now. The storms started raining in the fall, and they were literally measuring the rain in feet, not inches. Okay, so he's talking about the ARkStorm of 1861, and he's like, well, that's the real one. It's nothing like what's happening right now. And I don't know. Let's hope that he's right. That's optimistic. Okay, going over here, LA Times. Here you can see a pier that's been broken at this section. This is from January 3rd. So for me, that was 4 days ago. For you, 5 days ago. Storms over the week have killed at least 6 people, including uh, including 3 whose bodies were found in or near submerged cars after a levee broke near Sacramento. A toddler was killed when a tree crashed into a residence in Sonoma County. Okay, there's some waves crashing, a restaurant, car driving through flooded area, a few guys pushing what is that thing? I have no idea what that is. A Valero who like the roof covering fell down. Jeez. Here's that pier again from another angle. People moving out of their mobile home thing here. It looks like it's been hit by this tree. That really sucks. So, already not good. And now remember, this article is from the 3rd, so more has happened since then. Now CNN, hurricane force wind gusts blow through California as part of the bomb cyclone hitting the coast. So, yeah, so it's a bomb cyclone as well. Wind gusts in central California have reached hurricane force as the heaviest rain and strongest winds have begun moving onshore in the Bay Area. all part of another powerful storm known as a bomb cyclone that is hitting the state's coast. Let's see, this is dated the 4th, so this is now a day later after that last article. Quote, this is the third significant storm system in a remarkable sequence that looks to continue on this weekend and next week, according to the Weather Service. The first storm was right after Christmas, followed by the New Year's weekend storm that brought deadly flooding to California. So I think it's this the New Year's weekend storm. That's the one that first got this on my radar because that's when they were talking about the levee breaking. Okay, was there anything else here? A down tree right here next to a Starbucks, and a guy dressed up pretty interestingly. Flooding. Sorry, I just have to check the whole thing because sometimes there's stuff at the very end and I can't remember all of it. Okay, here we are. This is SF Gate. Photos posted to Santa Cruz County's Twitter account show Capitola Wharf essentially split in half, with the beach completely overtaken by floodwaters. The streets of Capitola Village, the town's main tourist attraction, were completely ravaged by ocean swells and water that was pushed over the banks of Soquel Creek in photos and videos posted by locals. And here it is again. Here's that same restaurant. There's some Twitter videos and stuff that you can watch. I'm not going to put those on here. Okay, so there's that. Severe flooding batters California beach town, splits pier in half. This is now January 6th. So Friday, okay. An atmospheric river came ashore and unleashed colossal waves on the California coast Thursday, with Santa Cruz County, south of the San Francisco Bay Area, among the hardest hit regions. Vibrant boardwalks, full of eateries and vintage rides, were thrashed by high tide and large surf. Sandy beaches and rocky coves were submerged as rushing water dragged ocean debris past the shoreline and onto major roads. Santa Cruz residents shared videos of the region's beloved Capitola Wharf Pier split in half by the 25-foot crashing waves. A few miles south of Seacliff Beach, the area's iconic concrete SS Palo Alto World War I tanker, so a ship, okay, we're talking about a military ship, a Navy ship, locally known as the cement ship, broke away from the shore and was beaten by waves. Okay, here's just flooding coming all the way up to these houses. It's horrible. Okay, a lot of ruin, stuff like that. There's Capitola. So there's San Francisco, and Capitola is right here in Santa Cruz County. Okay, atmospheric rivers have been causing chaos along California's coast since December 26th. So I just highlighted that because this is going to be the article that I reference for this entry right here. I always reference. I'm trying to reference every single event, so it's always tied down to something. So I'm going to put that there. Okay, was there anything else? Okay, quote. This is the Weather Service in a Thursday update. This pattern is expected to continue throughout the week, January 6th to 12th, and is likely during week. Okay, what? This pattern is expected to continue throughout week 1, January 6th to 12th. So Friday until the 12th, and is likely during week 2, January 13th to 19th, as several more impactful atmospheric river events are expected. End quote. The total damage from this week's surge is not yet known, but officials anticipate that it will take several years to recover. Sereno said this is a 5-year plan for recovery. Deseret News actually covered this as well. California braces for another week of heavy rain amid outages, flooding, deaths. As of right now, on the power outage, .us website. It looks like it's at 34,000 and a half customers out of that are out. They don't have electricity coming to their homes, but that number was higher over recent days. Deseret News says that USA Today says more than 73,000 homes and businesses experienced an outage on Thursday night, a number much lower than Wednesday's figure of 180,000. So it sounds like so far the peak was 180,000 people without power. Okay. What is this now? Bloomberg. California sets another round of deluges. Monday will be big. Oh, and that's it. I just wanted to read the title off of that. Okay. USA Today, the ground is saturated. It's raining again in California on Saturday. So that's today, the day that I'm recording this. What's next for the weather in California? The next storm will hit early Saturday morning and pour between 1.5 and 3.5 inches of rain into the northern California coastal region, along with winds that could reach 60 miles per hour at local mountain peaks. The next one will begin Sunday night. After a lull in wet weather Sunday, the heaviest rainfall and flooding is expected Monday. Winds could go as high as 70 miles per hour at some peaks, and the rainfall will be prodigious. Um, that won't end the deluge by any means. Afterward, it's almost a daily chance of rain, really until the end of the month, said National Weather Service meteorologist Braden Murdoch. Still, the heaviest rainfall is expected to taper off Tuesday morning, but another moderate storm system may be in store for Northern California mid to late next week, according to the National Weather Service. More downed trees in what looks like a downtown area. Let's see. Public library in San Francisco. Okay. Photos. Yeah, this is the one that I wanted to look at. Let's look at these photos. Where's the, how do I zoom out? Okay, there we go. No, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. So what looks like a trapped car or a car that can't pass through here. Orange Jeep. Missionaries. This is why I wanted to show it. Missionaries. Splash for Jesus. Splash. And I'm glad that they're wearing eye protection. While holding signs, missionaries and members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Bennett Lim, 21, left, and Jack Bodmer, 18, are enveloped in water as commuters give them a splash during the first major storm of the year in Chino, California on Thursday, January 5th, 2023. Well, I mean, yeah, when this is happening, I guess you're not really going to be going very many places. So this is how you carry on the work. Hopefully they'll be safe, but that's hilarious. That is hilarious. I need to get some new ties. I was talking about this yesterday with Jenica. I still have a bit. All my ties are basically still from my mission. I went on my mission from 2004 to 2006, and it's time to refresh my collection. I'm going to go to a Goodwill or something like that. Sorry, that just this tie right here looks like a tie that I have. So good luck with that, elders. Stay safe. Okay, it's that same. I think it's that. Yeah, it's that same restaurant. We've seen that picture before. There's the pier. Yep, flooding. I never want to experience this. I would be so frustrated if water was pouring into my house. I would be irritated beyond belief. Okay, a road somewhere doesn't look good. There's that Valero. Oh my gosh, this would, if I was the owner of this place, I guess they have insurance, but it's still really irritating. Okay, lots of water on the roadway. A car almost all the way submerged. Power lines, branches. I mean, what's the point of this picture right here? I mean, storm clouds overhead, hover overhead. I mean, okay, all right. Sandbags. Uh, yeah, so, I mean, that's basically it. Man, look at that. That's terrible. Wow, it looks like that car is stranded right there. Wonder where the story. Okay, wait. 3 vehicles are submerged on Dillard Road, west of Highway 99 in South Sacramento County in Wilton, California. Sunday, January 1st, 2023, after heavy rains on New Year's Eve produced levee breaks. Saturday's system was warmer and wetter, while storms. That's just sounded weird. Warmer and wetter. Saturday's systems were warmer and wetter, while storms this week will be colder. In Hannah Chandler Cooley, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Sacramento. The Sacramento region could receive a total of 4 to 5 inches of rain over the week, Chandler Cooley said. So this is because of the levee breaks. I guess that makes sense because this car is just driving along, minding its own business, and then all of a sudden, just man, that would be terrifying. It would be terrifying to just like suddenly have essentially just all this water all of a sudden. Branch, some other establishment of some sort. Branch. Ooh. In this photo provided by Caltrans District 3, California Department of Transportation, crews check large boulders that fell onto Highway 50 just east of Kyberts during a storm in El Dorado National Park, California, Saturday, January 1st, 2023. Fortunately, no vehicles were hit. Yeah, that's always been another concern of mine. Like, not so much now in Kansas, but like living in Arizona, Utah, going through the canyons or something. I was always kind of a little bit worried about something like this happening. Okay, a bunch of snow, 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 snow. Um, a kayak thing or a raft in the street. A guy giving the lady some coffee or something. Oh, she must have been like stranded or something. But she could just get out. Nurse Katie Leonard left. Hands a cup of hot tea to Patsy Castello, 88, as she sits trapped in her vehicle for over an hour on Astrid Drive in Pleasant Hill, California, on Saturday, December 31st, 2022. Castello drove her car on the flooded street, thinking she could make it when it stalled in 2 feet of water. After 2 hours, the water had receded about a foot, making it easier to rescue her. Police were called but stood by and watched after calling in a tow truck to help pull the car out of the water. Nurse Katie Leonard of Pleasant Hill lives down the block. Okay, that's all I need to know about that. Okay, there she is, being helped. There's a landslide. See, this is what they're talking about. We were reading about that earlier. How there's probably going to be more of these. It's gonna limit travel, because the highways and stuff are going to be blocked. Okay, so that's all for that. California flooding threat to worsen as major storm arrives early week. Couple things here. Stormy recap since Christmas. 3 storms have hit the state since late December while tapping into atmospheric rivers. As a result, more than a foot of rain has fallen in portions of Northern California since December 26th. And the Sierra Nevada high country has measured snowfall by the foot. This was the wettest 10-day stretches in the Bay Area since 1971. The latest major storm rolled into California late Wednesday into Thursday and contributed to flooding, debris flows, downed trees, power outages, and pounding high surf. See this link for more details on the impacts from the storm. Through January 6th, several stations in Central California are reporting their wettest water year to date, including Stockton, California, which has a record dating back 75 years. The water year is defined here as starting in early October and running in California into spring when the wet season ends. Here's just like a picture and a video of some roadway that's collapsed. So more of that, and that's it. That's it. So yikes, yikes. Let's all pray for California. If you're in California, pray. Be smart. Just stay safe. Stay safe. We're witnessing, God's power here, and definitely I would count it as a sign of the times. So, all right, well, that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video. If you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share this, and I'll talk to you guys later.